Self-sabotage, or what I like to call ants automatic negative thoughts, love to harp on reasons why you can't, shouldn't, won't, why it's not going to work, why it's not working, why now's not a good time, so on and so forth. But the issue is, all you're really doing is perpetuating. You're pushing the start date, you're kicking the can down the road. And in that process, you're making your life that much harder, because if you came here for a reason, that reason does not get easier with time, right? So I know you're busy, but these are quick audios. And if this is important to you, you've got to be putting in the work. As I say many times in this challenge, is that this isn't a magic trick. There is no magic trick. And you don't want a magic trick, quite honestly, because look, if there was just a pill that you took that reduced cravings, which I'm sure there is, or there will be soon, I guess you can kind of say it's GLP, but a lot of people with GLPs are getting food noise, especially when they get off, when they get off of GLP, the food noise really gets big. So there is no magic pill that actually is going to sustain you long term. So it does take effort, but this isn't a lot of effort, right? It's just consistency. All you got to do is your best, and that's all. Forget the rest, right? So, with that said, let's get into the live training for today. So, today is just about understanding. It's not about fixing. I keep saying this, but awareness is what creates lasting change. You don't need to eliminate cravings to change behavior. You don't want to quiet your mind completely to change behavior. Because think about it. We oftentimes will say that, like, oh gosh, if I could just quiet my mind completely. But think about what that would be, right? You want to have thoughts in your mind. That means you're alive. That means you're active participant in life. So you want to have thoughts. You just want control and awareness of your thoughts. And that's all this is. And the thing is that when you start to have an awareness about something, you can understand it conceptually, then that thing loses its power, right? But when we keep it in our head and we just talk about the issue, essentially what we're doing is putting it on a pedestal. And when you put anything on a pedestal, you minimize yourself. The way to get the level playing field is to expose yourself to the emotions around the thing, to have awareness of those emotions. And that's where all the change comes in. So I talked a little bit about this, but it's worth reiterating, because anytime you talk about food noise and you talk about cravings, there's a direct correlation seemingly with willpower, but really isn't. There isn't. This isn't a willpower thing, right? It's willpower assumes that there's a conscious choice at play, but most eating decisions, especially around cravings and food noise, are unconscious. Stress, nervous, like stress/nervous system, learned behaviors from your past to seek out comfort relief. These things are at play, and that makes you that's what sort of lifts up that noise. That's what puts it on top of your mind. So you got to realize that the brain seeks relief, not results. The brain is always going to choose the least path of resistance. So if we try to make it be about willpower, I got to be more disciplined, I got to have more willpower. Your brain's like, oh, yeah, I got to do something else. Really? And guess what happens? You end up fighting it. And then eventually you end up giving in, and then their shame can settle in and all of these other issues. And so we want to make it not about that. Right. And one of the things I want you to realize too is that repetition is what's going to help you here. Right. It's consistency. It's going to wire patterns faster. So it's one thing to just say, like, I'm going to have more willpower. But it's another thing to say, for the next 30 days, listen to this audio. It's only 5 to 15 minutes of my time. I'm going to do it every day, and I'm going to be open. I'm going to have the intention of gaining back control of my mind with the food noise or my cravings. And if you do that, that's going to be way more powerful than just saying or trying to have more willpower or discipline. You got to look at it too. Look at your past efforts, right? I'm sure, obviously, this isn't the first time you thought about food noise or cravings. Like, I'm sure in those situations, what went wrong, right? Or I guess better said, if you look back at those situations, how would you normally conclude what happened? Oh, I just don't have the willpower, I don't have discipline, right? So that just shows you, like, that sort of thing doesn't work. Didn't work for you then, it won't work for you now. So another reason why we are focusing on settling the system, creating awareness, rewiring, not adding more things to be disciplined about in your life. So one of the things that you have to realize, and this is like really powerful because it's not just about food noise, but this will help you understand almost all patterns, both the good and bad, that you find yourself stuck in, right? Or you find these things repeating in your life. Basically, patterns are learned solutions. At some point in your life, you had started a habit because it gave you instant feedback because your psyche at that time needed it. It needed it. It almost perceived as it needed it for survival. I'll use an example. A lot of a lot of my private hypnosis clients I've worked with who would classify their issue as they don't have control over their cravings or they binge eat, something along those sorts. At a very early age in their life, whether it was because they were left alone or they grew up in a chaotic environment, or their parents would push dieting on them at an early age, they turned to food for instant relief, something they can control. It did give them a feeling of instant relief, and that was a learned behavior. They weren't in that moment as a 11-year-old girl being like, I'm going to choose that every time I get upset, I'm going to eat. That literally has never happened. It's happening subconsciously. It's just, there's, what your system knows what certain foods can do in terms of providing instant comfort, and it's just going to sort of push you in that direction. And then you do that over time, and essentially your brain starts to learn the behavior of like, oh, I'm upset, I need relief. Oh, I'm stressed, I need relief. Oh, I'm bored, I need relief. And then you do that over time, and all of a sudden you create this narrative as if you don't have discipline, or you're quote unquote fat, or you're lazy, or you don't have willpower. But really, it's just all of these moments stacked on top of each other. It's just what your psyche knows. So let's unlearn it, or like, I won't say that. I was going to say air muffs and say something else, but I'm just going to say unlearn it. We're going to leave it there for now. So it's really important though. You guys like take a moment, try to listen, try to understand what we're getting at here. Cause I promise you, this is going to change the game for you, not just when it comes to food noise, but almost anything else. All right. So what we have to realize is that the nervous system is going to prefer something that is familiar, not something that's optimal. Optimal would be if, the body needs to move. Our ancestors, our evolution was predicated on movement. All right? In no point of our history was survival based off of sitting down most of the day. That literally was impossible. You would have died, right? But we live in a different world, obviously. Yet what do we do most of the day? We sit. And that is a part of our life, of course, but like, the body needs movement. But why do most people not move? Well, because it's not convenient to move. Exercise literally is nothing more than going through the motions. But of course, exercise is inconvenient. By definition, it is inconvenient. And that's why most people don't exercise. It's optimal to exercise, but it's inconvenient to exercise. So the more we can start to understand these things, the more we can really take a step back, create awareness, right? And therefore change. And what we have to realize too is we're always up against self sabotage. When people say things like, oh, I just wish I had the discipline he had or she had or whatever, I wish I had that sort of willpower. Well, I could guarantee you do. You just allocate the willpower energy, so to speak, or you exercise the willpower muscle in other parts of your life, which, by the way, could be watching every single show on Netflix. That requires willpower. Well, you do it, don't you? You do it regularly, don't you? So what at the end of the day, what is willpower? It's doing something, it's having the ability to do something over time, no matter what. And really, so in the case of Netflix example, you're choosing to do that over anything else. Essentially, in a weird way, that is willpower, right? Yet willpower is also brushing your teeth every single morning and night, but that's something we just take for granted. Like, yeah, obviously it's gross if you don't. Yeah, and it is gross if you don't. I second that. I agree. That when I talk to somebody with bad breath, it makes me want to vomit. It grosses me out. And I'm not to say I have the perfect breath in the world, but I am to say if I'm ever talking to you and I had bad breath, please let me know because that I think is disgusting. I can't focus. I get immediately it gets to me. But the point is That is willpower. That is discipline. You're doing it every single day, aren't you? Yeah. So it's not just eating clean requires willpower. No, like you're showing these efforts in other parts of your life, whether or not you know it or not. It's just oftentimes the things that are familiar are easier to do. So in this case, what's unfamiliar for you is taking back control of the food noise. So that is where it takes awareness and some effort to kind of reposition and reorient yourself. So self-sabotage is essentially like outdated protection. So for example, you're on an eating plan or you're on a diet, workout plan, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you start to eat bad. Well, that's a part of you, a part of your identity that's not ready for the change that you consciously think you want to make. And so it finds ways to mess it up. But that's outdated. Again, that's from your past. There was somewhere along the line, becoming unhealthy was the safest, easiest thing for you to do. Then it became comfortable, then it became familiar, and that's all your being knows. So when you go try to make a significant change, no matter how you go about it, you're bringing up these self-sabotage issues if they're not resolved, and they will find ways to get in your way. As we said, it's always reasons why you can't, should, and won't. Why now's not a good time. This isn't going to work for me. Sometimes it's like, I don't even need to work on my food noise. I'm just going to eat clean every day. I'm just going to not do this and not do that. It's like, oh, I know you're motivated today. We'll see if you are next week. Maybe you will be next week. Let's see how you are in 4 weeks from now. And then check back in 3 months and then 6 months and 12. Let's see how that goes for you. That's not going to work. You know that to be true. Come on. That's why people yo, right? We set ourselves up for failure. Well, that is self sabotage. That's why I always tell people, like, you're not working out. That's all right. But start. Like, you don't have to work out, I guess. But like, good luck for the rest of your life if you don't. So you really should start. I don't care what your injury is, you can. 99% of people, if you can get up and down off the toilet, you can exercise. If you can go to your car and back, you can exercise. So it's finding what can you do for exercise. So what I always tell people is like, look, start with a 5-minute workout. Well, 5 minutes, that's not enough. But nothing is better, right? Objectively, that makes no sense. You can understand that. So is a 5-minute workout going to put you on stage to be a bodybuilding competitor? No, but that's not what you're here for anyway. What it will do, though, is start to set in line the domino effect of intention, of effort, doable action, repeated over time, yields results. And if you just keep doing it, all of a sudden, weirdly enough, you went from having no time to exercise. Well, now you're like, oh, I could do 5 minutes. I could do 10 minutes. And all of a sudden that turns into 20 minutes. And look, it's not an instant thing. But what self sabotage will do with that example is be like, that's not enough. That is not enough. So it's like, okay, well, let's just not exercise. And that's a better option. No, it's not about being enough. It's about doing it. Right. And by the way, if you are doing it regularly, if you're someone who hasn't exercised and you start the 5-minute workout, you are going to notice you feel different. Now, it's not going to get you down a size, but like, how could you expect it would? Like, as a rational adult, how could you have that expectation? That would be silly, right? But again, that's silly when you have the awareness and you're thinking about it. But when you're not, and you're just left to your own devices, well, that's what the brain's going to project, and that is self-sabotage. All right, so food can be used to quote unquote regulate emotion, but it really doesn't regulate emotion, because if you really pay attention to it, first of all, it's going to alter your blood sugar, especially when we have things that are like high processed, high sugar, or something like that. And then that's going to lead to a crash, right? So then that comes with other emotions that are not regulated, like, you know, feeling like you don't want to do anything or feeling just tired and fatigued. But in the moment, it feels like, well, if I have this thing, I'll feel better. It's not never food noise and cravings. It's never about hunger. If anything, it could be because you're not getting enough nutrients. Well, not if anything, and there's a lot of layers to this, but being dehydrated, not having enough nutrients in your system, like that. Gut health's another major issue. If you have gut health issues, you will have issues with cravings or overeating. You just will, because your body's not registering. You're not absorbing the nutrients. You're not having the signal from your brain to say, I'm full. And by the way, like, while I've never had a weight issue, and I'm just going to go off a quick tangent because I can hear people. So I've had these conversations. I've worked with thousands and thousands of people in weight loss over the last 20 plus years. And what they'll say is, well, you don't know how it's like because you were never overweight, is what people have said to me in the past. Not often, because whenever anybody ever actually has a conversation, they know I know exactly where they are and what they're going through. And the reason why I know that is because I was maybe never had a weight issue, but I do know what it's like to be isolated. I do know what it's like to have low self-esteem. I know what it's like to have people look at you and make judgments and make fun of you, and to have people regularly say that and then start to believe the things that they're saying about you as truth instead of actually just like, oh wow, that person is just, there's something wrong with that person, but I'm internalizing it, right? I've been in those situations feeling horrible about myself. So you can say it's, whether it's weight, bullying, at the end of the day, there's just different journeys, but the struggles are oftentimes the same. So while I've never struggled with weight per se, I have been in that situation. That was what I grew up in. So I had to overcome that internal struggle. That's why I've been able to connect and help so many other people. Whether or not we are the same sex or we're the same size or same athletic ability or any of that, this is what works. My point though is I did have some serious gut issues. And prior to fixing those gut issues, which by the way, with no medication, completely holistic, and I have a gut protocol. So if you're listening to this and you want to get on that, let me know and it works. And by the way, on this side tangent that we're on right now, if your doctor tells you, well, that's just how your body is, going every other day, 3 days a week, fire them. Because what they're not telling you is that you're storing toxins in your body if you are not going daily. And it's not rocket science to fix it. I know that because I've been able to help a lot of people of all different issues and sizes overcome it. So, but the point is that prior to getting my own gut issues resolved, I could eat, I couldn't get full ever. I just could eat endlessly. And I was like, oh, fast metabolism. Oh, a lot of muscle. Nah, it wasn't that. I wasn't absorbing nutrients. I had leaky gut. There's a lot of those issues that are happening. So my brain wasn't registering what I was putting in my body. I don't have those issues anymore. Not even close. Like, yeah, sometimes I'll eat more than others, but that's really by choice or by calories or by energy output, not because I felt like I couldn't get full. It's a big, big, big thing. All right, moving on, baby. What we need to focus on here is you coming into this moment to understand what this looks like for you. So I want you to think about the following scenario, right? When you have the most amount of food noise or when you find yourself giving into a craving, we've got to unpack that. So like what time of day was it? A lot of times it's night for people. Sometimes it could be there are other circuit. If something happens during the day and you happen to find yourself at a coffee shop and you see don't like, okay, that could happen. So whatever it is for you. I've worked with some people who they would be driving on the highway and they felt like the car literally took control to go off the exit to go to a gas station to get their relief, right? So it could happen any time of the day, but what time of day is it for you? What state of mind are you in when it happens? Are you tired? Are you overstimulated? Stressed? What is it? Let's start to unpack this. Look back at it, right? What's the trigger? What are you doing? Are you sitting down, thinking about something that makes you feel upset? Did someone say something to you? Are you in the car? Are you cleaning up the kitchen at night? What is it? What's the pattern? Is it snacking? Is it self-shame? Is it just getting stuck in your head and just sort of having this internal negative dialogue? What is that pattern? And what's the payoff? In other words, when you have said thing, are you feeling relief in the moment, right? Obviously, you never feel like that hours later or the next day, but in that moment, you feel relief. Is it you feel control? What is it? What are you getting from it? Food isn't the problem. Now, that being said, it's outrageous when I hear people say things like, there's no healthy food. Yes, there is unhealthy food. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. We can't be so sensitive that we can't have an objective conversation about health. That's like saying, there's no drugs that are bad for you. Well, yeah, look, I had people who died in my family of addiction, multiple. It's really sad. But drugs are bad. Alcohol is bad. I drink sometimes, but let's call it what it is. It's not healthy for you. So let's just make sure we're having an adult rational conversation. There is unhealthy food. And part of life is enjoyment. So you should be able to have this thing. But to say there's not unhealthy food is is outrageous, right? And if that's what you believe, this and nothing else is going to help you with your body. I can tell you that. There is unhealthy food, and you should allow yourself to have unhealthy food as long as you're in control and you're taking care of yourself. That's it. End of story. I digress. But food isn't the problem here. It's not. It's all an internal learned behavior. So your nervous system most often is asking for relief, what it comes down to. And once you can understand the pattern, the loop, you can change the experience. The problem is so often we try to fight the behavior. I'm going to be more disciplined. No, it doesn't work. You've tried it before. It doesn't work. All right. So you're listening to this right now. If you are not driving, let's have a live awareness exercise here. So we're not going to do anything like hypnotic. I just want you to settle in for a moment, ground your feet, just breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And I want you to recall a mild craving. It's just the last time you've had a craving. I want you to notice where it's felt. Like, is it in your heart? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your head? Like I don't mean in your head, like where's that emotion? Where are you registering that emotion from? Is it like you thinking about it, or do you feel it? Do you feel like you urge to do something? Very powerful, because if we can step back here and just think about where it is, you're going to start to gain awareness and recognize, okay, that's what that is, and that's where it is, right? So, with that said, describe it in neutral terms. In other words, what's the size of the thing that you want? How fast do you want to eat it? How far you are from it? Where do you find it? What's the intensity feel like? Is it intense feeling? Is it mild? Just objectify it by literally just describing what it is without emotion. And if you're having a hard time doing this, think about it as if my friend told me they had XYZ craving, and then describe what that craving would be as if you were trying to help your friend through it. That's going to help you find objectivity. And just start to notice what's happening when you're observing without reacting. In this moment, the craving's likely not there. You don't have that urge. But again, when you do have the urge, the craving, the food doesn't change. Like, still made up from the same place. It's just now you have the awareness. So it's less powerful. So for following a challenge, today's audio is a submodality work where we're basically, so your brain responds, the brain responds to sensory input. So when you can change perception, you can change response. So oftentimes, like, I don't have control. Well, yeah, of course. If you feel like there is something that you don't have control over, guess what? Do you think you're going to have control over it? No. Which, by the way, a part of this is how you talk about things. So often I hear people say things like, I don't have control. I don't have willpower. I can't. Oh, well, of course. You're reinforcing to your psyche. This is what you do. Your subconscious mind is only going to focus on what you put in it. And if that's what you say aloud, goodness, what are you thinking about? And again, that's not like there's nothing wrong with you. You're a human and we all have these things. But the people who are able to regulate them do so with intention. They don't just wake up and be like, I'm good to go, right? There's no magic trick. We've already been over this. So the submodality is really about changing the perception, the relationship between the thing that you crave or think about, which, by the way, doesn't have to be a craving. It could just be the thought of food in general. It's just gaining a control of that through minimizing it. That's it. And you'll hear that in today's audio. So make sure you listen to it. It works really well. Again, nothing is instant. You got to put the work in. You got to listen to it. You got to show up. You have to have the intention for it to get better. So one last time, I got to be very clear again. We are not trying to tell the food noise or the craving to go away. We're just changing how it shows up and how you show up. That's all. So that being said, that is the focus for today. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know.